Hello. Welcome back to The Last Word. This is Tanisha. Thank you for viewing, and of course, thank you for being a subscriber to The Last Word. So on this week, on The Last Word, pretty much what we're doing is just a recap. We're just going to recap some things that we have talked about over the past few weeks, and we're also going to have some highlights of some things that will be coming up in the coming weeks. So firstly, what we did at the beginning of my channel is just pretty much I disclosed how this all came about, how the last word came about, right? So if you will just view the earlier videos for that. Then of course the first topic on the last week that I talked about, on the last word that I talked about was fear and how we can overcome our fears, right? So of course, just to recap, that last word on fear was to simply, let me go ahead and get that for you. Let me go ahead and get the last word on fear for this recap so we can recap what we have been doing here on the last word. And that last word on fear on that topic for that week was our greatest fear should not be of failure, but of succeeding at things in life that don't really matter, right? And that was that quote that I had did from Francis Chan, and that was the last one on fear for that week. And then we followed up with love the following week because we know that love casts out fear. So, of course, the last word, just to give you a recap on love, was simply to, and if you are a believer, the last word on love would be, and I wrote this down, I need to be more organized. Let's see. Of course, I wrote it down. It is, I love myself the way my Heavenly Father loves me, and He laid down His life for me. So He laid down the life of His Son for me. And that is the last word on love. If you're a believer, this is how you should view and love yourself. And of course, we know the greatest commandment is to love our Heavenly Father with all our soul, heart, mind, and also to love the Father, of course, love the Father, and then, of course, love others as we love ourselves. Sorry about that. Got a little tongue-tied. But that's the last word on love. Then, of course, we came in the following week with the last word on forgiveness. And if you have not seen the last word on forgiveness, you need to view it. It was a lot longer video. It was a video of me sharing my testimony and how I forgave my mom, how my cousin helped me through that. I mean, it is really, really a blessing, and I know that it would be a blessing to you and possibly help you be able to forgive, anyone that has hurt you. So, of course, forgiveness. You definitely want to look at that last word on forgiveness that I did a couple weeks ago. So, the last word on forgiveness was, of course, sometimes it can be tough with forgiving yourself. So I allow the last word on, because in order for you to be able to forgive, you have to also be able be able to forgive yourself or have forgiven yourself, okay? Forgive yourself first. Release the need to replay a negative situation over and over again in your mind. Don't become a hostage to your past by always reviewing and reliving your mistakes. Don't remind yourself of what should have, could have, or would have been. Release it and let it go. Move on. And that was from Les Brown. So I really appreciate, of course, that quote there. I mean, it was profound for me. It really helped me to understand, how I can forgive myself and continue to forgive myself in the future, and how I can forgive myself for any past mistakes that I've made. And a lot of times that's what we have a hard time with, is simply forgiving ourselves. And so that can be just as much or even more of a challenge than forgiving someone else, because we know ourselves better than we know someone else. And what someone else does, we may not expect, or we may expect, but we know ourselves and we know what to expect of our own self. So sometimes when we make mistakes and we knew or we felt that we would not ever do a thing like that, it can be harder to forgive ourselves. So that's the last one on forgiveness. That's the recap there for that one. And then, of course, we came in the following week with confidence, making sure that you have confidence in yourself. It's very critical to have confidence in yourself. And, of course, the last word on it, I provided a poem, just a little amateur poem that I did on confidence that came to my mind when I thought about confidence. And I'll let a portion of the last portion of that poem be the last word on confidence. I am confident to look up, no longer shook up. Confidence to be free as the eagles soaring above trees, able to see all of the enemies. Can't you see how confidence in you can turn your whole life around more than you ever knew? So that's the last word on confidence there. It's just the latter part of that poem. That poem is a full poem that part is just a part of a full poem that I did. In order for you to be able to see the full poem, please look at the video that we did, the video Be Confident, okay? So that latter part of the poem will be the last word on confidence. And now on to the highlights. The highlights of what we will have coming up on the last word in the upcoming weeks. Of course, peace is a topic that I am definitely going to be doing. That will be coming up most likely next week. Peace and, of course, living drama free. Basically, that's what peace is, living drama free. Okay, so that'll be coming up next week. Also, another highlight of what I will have coming up is going to be two book reviews. It's going to be 2 books, 1 author. Okay, I had an opportunity, if some of you know me or are connected with me on Facebook, I had an opportunity to meet Mr. John Hope Bryant. Mr. John Hope Bryant is the founder and the chairman of the Operation Hope, which is a national organization that's nonprofit that is bringing what he calls civil rights to the community. Okay, so to communities everywhere, he is bringing civil